Hey guys! So today you and I, well, we're not gonna talk at all. What we're gonna do is that we're gonna listen. We're gonna listen to me talk to my coworker Hongchao, who is an amazing developer from China. And he's going to tell us a little bit about his experiences and his career path up until, well, where he is today. So hopefully you'll find this interesting. Let's listen in.
I would like to think so. I do. I do. I really. I mean, I just assume that the reason why people want to listen to me jabber on about programming things was because, hey, he says some stuff that might be useful or that can be sort of interesting. But apparently, according to you, it's about different stuff.
It's about the satisfaction of the eyes and ears and stuff.
You see the
Ears
thing
matter.
yes. All right. Cool. Okay. Yes. I will admit that. But you see, I tried to add some music to this to a few of these videos that I was making a while back, or I've been making them for a while, and people absolutely hate it. Like they absolutely like it. I've never ever, during the entire time I've been making these tiny little videos, had more comments liked ever, and they are all comments such as the music is too loud, the music is bad, etc, etc, etc.
Oh, so you have background music all the time?
Yes.
Okay.
And because I wanted to try it out, right, this was kind of the idea for me. I was thinking, okay, I've been making videos and some people said that, all right, it would be nice if you touch them up, and I thought, okay, that could be fun. I can learn some things about some basic video editing or stuff like that.
Yeah.
And let's try it out.
Yeah.
But apparently I fucked it up, so
Do you know why?
What?
They don't like it?
I'm assuming that, I kind of figured that out now, actually. What's interesting is that as I like to say, the reason why they don't like the music is because my voice is sweeter than music.
I sort of, yeah. Maybe. Because, the reason why the Indian food and Chinese food has so much spice in it is because the food itself is not good. If you taste Japanese food, it's like almost raw, right?
It's almost raw. So you're saying that because
you ruin the fish.
I don't need spice. Is that what you're telling me?
If you are fresh, if you have good food, you just need a little bit.
Yes.
Yeah, you just need a little bit of
Okay.
soy sauce.
Thank you so much. I feel very flattered right now. We were going to talk about you, and here you are talking about me. But I love talking about myself, so that's okay. But enough about that. I would like to ask you just, dude, can you tell me a little bit? Because I've been working with you for quite some time, and I know that you are a really, really good developer. But I would like to hear, like, when did you start programming? Like, when did it start? Like, how old were you, and how did it start?
So I really would like to tell you that I started programming at 9. At 9, right?
That's what everybody wants to be. Oh, I was.
Yeah,
I was just out of my mother, and the first word out of my mouth was binary. That's the first thing I said. My first word, binary.
Yes.
Sorry.
And my father sent me a computer and stuff, and I just went along from there. But the reality is that I, before I even went to the college, I didn't have a computer. So actually, when I went to college, it was the year of 2000.
You studied in China, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So that was at the peak of the internet bubble, but I didn't know that, So like when we picked the major, it was very interesting. People told
What
me
was your major?
computer stuff, computer science.
Computer science. Okay. Yep.
So people told me that wow, you can this computer thing. If you study that, you can have zero problem finding a job, because at that time it was like the bubble, right?
Right.
So that's why I ended up studying that.
Mm-hmm. So you started studying computer science more because of financial security rather than it was something that was a passion.
Not even financial security. It's like you can have a job very easily. It's not about how much it's paid. It's just that
to see security.
you can get a job.
Yeah.
There's no problem having a job.
I can completely relate to that, because that's the reason why I picked Java as my focus when I was studying. Not because I thought Java was the best job in the world. It was or the best language in the world. It was more about it's a universal language. I know that a lot of companies use Java, so it's a good investment.
Yep.
But so you started going into computer science, and then you took did you take a bachelor's or a master's or?
Yeah, I take the bachelor in China.
Okay, cool.
During which I kind of I never sort of developed some kind of a passion when I was in the college.
Okay.
About computer stuff.
Were you more focused on other stuff?
Yeah, like we want to study abroad at that
time. Yeah.
Spent a lot of time.
So both you and Joe, like he said the same thing. All I know is that I want to go abroad and like do something.
Yes, so that's so I spent a lot of time on English and stuff like that, and
yeah, because your English skill is really, really good.
Not before I came to Sweden. So when I first came to Sweden, I remember the first time we did a lab. We have to have a partner and stuff.
Yeah.
So I don't know how to.
So you studied here as well.
Yes.
Okay.
So master.
Okay, so you took masters here.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
So I don't know how to express myself like properly. So I actually wrote down what I wanted to say in the paper, and it was like. So basically, what we learned back in China was all for the exams and stuff.
Okay.
Like you can pass all the exams that you need to pass to, study abroad and stuff. But when it comes to verbal, it's kind of,
Yeah, when you do it live, when you're actually using it.
Yeah.
But that's always a problem, I think, with language learning in schools and stuff like that. It's our education system is very good at tests and very good at trying people on like just something that you can declare true or false, or this is the correct answer, like mathematics, etc., etc.
Yep.
But when it comes to language, it's much more organic. It's much harder to you can't really learn a language by just reading the book. You have to actually talk to people.
It's like swim.
Yeah, exactly. You throw people in, and then they're trying to survive, right?
Yeah. But I do remember like, it's still like very close to the internet bubble. But I do remember like talking to my classmates about like software, like conquering the world and stuff.
Yep.
And I remember very vividly like a moment where we sort of walk on some kind of a bridge over the streets type of thing,
Yep.
Like, and then we're talking like, wow, there's so much like logic in the software.
Yep.
And as the software is going to eat a world, all those builders of this software is sort of like the lawmaker to some extent.
Yes.
Because there's so much vacuum and stuff, and so at that time I felt that it was kind of cool to be part of this industry, but I never had the confidence to, because I wasn't like Joe, who is kind of interested in this technology stuff, and it feels like his mind is like well suited for this type of stuff, engineering stuff. But that time
But he did start when he was like a small kid. He had his first computer.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I never sort of
Dude, I'm like you, dude. Like, give me a high five. You don't have to be a fucking super whiz kid
it's not in my gene.
No, exactly. Like there are people who start programming in their 20s as well, which is like it's perfectly fine. We don't all have to be like Joe. We don't have to be like super whiz kids from like 6 years old. Like when I was that age, I was learning how to ride a bicycle and stuff like that. I was not computer programming.
Yeah. But I guess. So I guess I didn't have the confidence, but the first time I felt that I have some kind of a confidence was.
What was why did you lack the confidence to try to be a programmer? Did you feel like you lacked the confidence to program, or?
No, it's just that I don't know if I can do this.
Exactly, you were unsure if you were smart enough, or you were unsure if it was too hard.
It's suitable for me. Like I guess some people are more on the side of like. In the spectrum of rational and like emotional.
Yeah.
Like I don't know where I belong, because
you have a mix of both. You're emotional and rational.
I guess over the years the occupation definitely shaped. I mean, it's like your genetic stuff, your education, your work shape your personality. I guess. I mean, I've been doing this for a long time, so it definitely shaped me a little bit. But at that time, I didn't know like if I can do this. But
I can relate to you so much. I can't even describe it in words, because I felt the exact same way. I was interested in programming when I was a teenager.
Yeah.
And I always was told like you have to be super smart to be a programmer. You have to like love mathematics. There's a lot of complicated algorithms and stuff like that. And I was super scared, so I didn't really like. I learned some basic HTML, CSS, like some front end stuff back in the days. Even though when this wasn't really something that I didn't really know what I was doing.
Yep.
And then I finally came to that point where okay, I can either now go down a path and become a teacher or something like that. And it's something that I'm absolutely passionate about, teaching. But I wasn't passionate about the subjects. I wanted to teach people, but I don't want to teach a subject that I don't care about. Like I could, in theory, become a math teacher or something like that, but that's not my passion.
Yep.
So I thought, all right, let's fucking try this programming thing. Let's actually give it a try and let's just crash and burn if it's too complicated, but at least try it.
Yep.
And I fucking loved it. And here today, I'm basically just living the dream every single day. To me, it is. It really is.
That's excellent, right?
Yeah, for me, I was talking to my teammates just a few minutes ago, and we were saying like, Anna's her dad is a programmer as well. He's 65 now. He's been programming his entire life, and he's still like he asked for as a birthday present. He asked to be left alone to work on a project. When she said that, I felt like this man and we are two kindred spirits. I understand this guy so much. Just leave me alone because I'm working on some really cool stuff over here and I need some time to just think it through, right?
Yeah.
It's a bit psycho, I know that, but and then we were saying, he was stating that, if your hobby is your job, then you never work a day in your life.
Yes.
But that doesn't have to be the case. Some people are like that and some people are more pragmatic.
Yep.
But so what made you decide? Okay, so because you started out with the intention of learning computer science, you took your bachelor's in China, then you came to Sweden. Was that because of job prospects or things?
No, it's nothing to do with job prospects.
So you just wanted to go here to study?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
So I just want to get a degree and get my ass back to China, right? Like I plan to stay here for 1.5 years.
Okay.
That's all.
And
all I
now you've
plan
been
for.
here how long?
For 14. No, like I mean it's complicated. I went to some other countries as well, but
Okay.
around 10 years maybe.
Around 15 years.
So like a seemingly small plan that you made,
Yeah, became
might
this-
have a big impact over your life. Yeah, so it's kind of, but I actually worked a little bit before.
Okay.
So I.
Before you took your master's.
Yes.
Okay.
So I worked for like a year, and that's when I sort of built my confidence of, maybe this is something that I can do.
What did you do at your job?
So it was like a startup. It was like
Okay, so it was coding related, like you
it
did
was coding related.
Okay.
It was like a at that time, people dreamed of making smartphones.
Mm-hmm.
It was like 2004. So there's no Android, no iPhone and stuff.
Yep.
But people dreamed of making smartphones, which looks like a computer, right?
Yep.
So there are like many attempts. Like Palm OS is one attempt.
Yep.
Not sure whether people still remember that, like Palm stores and like it's like a Palm computer.
Yep.
But so there's this guy, like my boss at that time. He came back from Silicon Valley
Mm-hmm.
with some kind of investment to the city where I went to college.
Yep.
And he has the ambition to build a Linux-based
A
smartphone.
Linux, wow.
Yeah. So of course that's super difficult, right? I mean, if you look back, most of the endeavors other than Android and iOS failed. So they recruited a bunch of people,
Mhm.
trying to make this work.
Yep.
In the end, they didn't make it work, but the company was acquired by Palm Source. So
Okay.
the Palm has a pretty good UI, so they try to build stuff on top of Linux, which was built by this team basically.
Okay.
And so I was in that team, and we were making some software like web browser, not web browser, web browser, and
Okay, what's the
mod-
difference?
the protocol is like what do you call it? It's like neutralized. Like it's very stupid version of. I mean, it's very. It's not very powerful, feature complete and stuff.
Okay.
It's designed for very not very powerful operating systems and
Okay.
stuff. And also the multimedia messaging, like you send a picture over your MMS. Sorry, like your messaging stuff. That's what we built. So, but at that time, it's quite interesting because there are not so many people.
No, I mean MMS, which is like that concept of sending a message part of the text wasn't real. Like I don't remember the first one; they didn't have support for that. It was just pure text.
Yes.
So,
That was a big thing at that time.
Yeah, exactly. It was a big thing, and this is the thing, dude. Like, I mean, okay, yeah, sure. If you compare things by today's standards, then yeah, it might not be so cool. But we always have to remember that at the time, this was bleeding edge cutting stuff. Like this was stuff that was kind of not invented. So you have to kind of figure out all these things. Of course, it's easy when you already figured it out.
Yeah.
But so you started. Yeah, I'm assuming that you did most of that programming in C or C++.
Yes, it's mostly in C and it's in a very obscure platform.
Okay.
But the thing is that as a startup, they don't have too many resources.
No, it's
so like
limited.
as a fresh graduate, like.
So how did you survive there? Is it like did you get any mentorship or like?
I mean, they are like a very limited thing, but they basically throw you in the water, like.
Yeah.
You
and
have
see
to
if
survive.
you can swim.
Yeah. So basically, I haven't even graduated from the college. no experience with C, and then when they did C, and then we have to talk to our clients because we are making MMS for all these vendors. We are OEM and stuff, so we don't have our brands. We're just making it for others.
You have to ship. Yeah. Right.
And then we carry the phone to the Ministry of Communication to get them certified and stuff. Like all these things, like a normal programmer wouldn't even touch.
No, they would never have to do this.
Yeah. So.
But that's the part of that's the thing about being a part of a startup. Like, you are not enough people, so you have to do all this extra work that might not have gone. I mean, that's the thing, right? If you want to work in a stressful and dynamic and interesting environment, usually a startup is a good fit for you. But then you also have to understand that you have to be flexible. You have to do more things, right? If you want to have just a coding job and get paid and stuff like that, then you might have to go and work for one of the really, really big companies where, you sit at your desk, everything's prepared for you, you do that thing. But it may not be so creatively stimulating, maybe.
Yes.
But so that's what were your first jobs. So you stayed with that company for how long?
For like, including when I was studying in the college, it was like 1.5 years.
Okay.
But that was basically where I built confidence that, okay, maybe I can do this because.
But so you're saying to me that you were in a computer science curriculum, studying and taking a master's in computer science, and you were still worried that you didn't have what it takes to be.
But I mean, the thing is that for example, like I took some of the courses like compiler stuff in China, right?
Right.
And then I felt that I didn't learn anything. Like I learned a bunch of
theory.
I don't know, math stuff. Like how do you deduce?
But you didn't have any practical experience.
Yeah. If you ask me to do anything regarding to compiler, before I came to Sweden, also the thing is that when I was in Sweden, I also took the same course.
Yeah.
And I think it's so much more practical. You essentially need to make a compiler after that. So basically, it has to do with the education itself, also with my own focus, that I didn't focus too much on my major and stuff, and also like my little bit of insecurity of myself. So it's like a combination of things that I feel. I mean, there are a lot of people who graduated from computer science that didn't end up in this industry.
And today you are probably the most decorated and respected programmer at this company. Yes, you are, and you can be humble if you want to, but I can promise you you are by far one of the most experienced people in programming we have. No, I know. I know. It sounds horrible, and nobody wants to admit it, but that's the way it is. Nobody's
the most horrible thing that I heard today.
Well, sure as hell is not going to come running to me if something goes down in production. They're going to call you. Possibly Joe. He's also extremely, extremely talented. But okay, so you built up the confidence, which I think is, honestly to God, it's hilarious how an education system can. You're studying to become a computer software developer, and you still don't feel like you're confident enough to see, can I actually do this? You first get that confidence when you actually get to apply your skills in an actual environment, which I think is great because that's exactly in line with my personal belief system, that practical knowledge and self-empowerment is more important than all the theory in the world, because theory doesn't matter for shit if you can't use it for something.
Yep.
And so after that, you finish your masters, and then you take your first software engineering job, or
After the master, yes.
yes.
Yeah.
So what did you do then?
So I was looking for jobs in Sweden.
Were you living here in Gothenburg?
In Gothenburg, yes.
Ah, okay, cool.
I was kind of interested in.
Then it's like Volvo, Ericsson.
Yeah, exactly. It was like Ericsson, but in Stockholm.
In Stockholm, okay.
So they had. I think I got like 3 offers at that time. One of them is in Lund. It's like because I did mobile phone before.
Mhm.
And Lund at that time they built Sony Ericsson mobile phone, which is like exactly what I did before.
Okay, cool.
And then Ericsson in Stockholm, they made an extremely interesting pitch. They said that they want to build the IPTV, which is like TV over internet, video over internet. And they said they have an extremely good relationship with the telecommunication companies and stuff like Tree or Telia and stuff.
Yeah.
That they can make the high resolution, HD videos super nice and available for all the people and kill YouTube. I was like, wow, killing YouTube. Shit,
Alright.
this is something I don't want to do.
That sounds nice. Like let's join a big corporation and fight them over dominance of the video world.
Yes, so that's why I moved my ass to Stockholm. But at that time it was like they can't directly employ you, so they have this young engineer program where you're hired by some consultancy company, and then after 1 year or 2 you get hired by Ericsson. That's how it works.
Yeah, it's a 2-step process, which is it's very common. I had a question about that not that long ago where they asked about why is it that some companies only hire consultants, and it's very simple, because big corporations such as Ericsson and so forth, they calculate that it's cheaper and more efficient for them to not have to hire you as a full-time employee until you prove yourself, or ideally you can even stay on as a consultant as long as the project can be spun up and then torn down whenever, because that gives them flexibility. Because a lot of especially Volvo and Ericsson here in Gothenburg, they still have a lot of problems with people who have within our social system we have this idea of a permanent residency, which means that it's basically impossible to fire you. It's we have several companies that have this issue, so they thought, okay, if we only hire consultants, we get rid of that problem. But so you started off so you moved to Stockholm and you started working for Ericsson on this project. And how long did it take for them to give up on trying to kill YouTube?
So after stayed there for half a year, before they they gave up, right?
They gave up after 6 months.
No. Before they gave up, I felt I feel bored. I was so bored.
It was bored. Okay, you were bored. That's fine.
What
I
was working on like functional testing and stuff.
You were just doing testing.
Yeah.
Oh shit! But you didn't.
So basically they asked whether you want to be what they call a software designer or tester and stuff. I was trying to be humble, right?
You could be what?
Software
designer
is basically developer. Yeah, and then they have functional testers and system testers and stuff.
Okay, so you did manual testing and functional testing. Okay, yeah.
So I was like,
so that's a QA. That's a QA. Yes. Yeah, it's a QA.
So I was like,
so
I'm
you
fresh,
who
right?
have fucking done oh my god, dude, oh my god, what the fuck, are you serious? You are you have taken a master's in computer science, you have worked as a programmer, and the first thing when you get the question, should I be a QA or a software developer?
Yeah, because I looked up those companies. I thought this was like 500, this massive company.
Yeah, it is, but that doesn't mean that all the people working in there are super geniuses.
I was young and stupid, so I didn't know.
But that's okay. Everybody's young and stupid. That's the whole reason why I took so long to get into this profession, because I really did think that I was dumber than every single other person, and now I realize that I'm just dumber than most of them.
Yeah. So but after half a year, I clearly realized that I don't belong to that group, because they are like 20 years older than me, and also they're not really. I don't think they are interested in technology. So
the testers, yeah.
In technology in general.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So I was kind of like, I was trying to do a bunch of stuff for them, like, for example, like making all those testing automation tools for them.
Oh shit, dude! Oh, I can't. Dude, don't tell me. Yeah, I know this story. I've heard it a million times, and I've been there. So let me guess, you are the young upstart trying to improve things, and you want to make things better and more efficient, and you're working with people who don't give a shit.
Kind of.
Yes,
But,
kind of.
some people do give a shit.
Yeah, of
Actually,
course.
they make some documentation about it. But I mean, in the end, I really feel I should leave, right?
Yeah.
But the problem is that at that time it was like an economic crisis of 2019. So they don't have headcounts in Ericsson, and it's impossible to find any job in Sweden because it was like every single company just
They
cut their
shut down.
headcount. Yeah, they
Yeah.
shut down basically. So I was like kind of dead because I feel that my future will be, you know, gone if I stay here, right? So I was really burning inside.
Yep.
So I basically was kind of desperate to find a job as something that I feel I can develop a little bit.
Yeah.
So I was looking around even outside Sweden, including Ireland, right?
Ireland.
Yeah, so I found a job in Ireland. That's why I moved to Ireland.
Okay.
Because I was so burning, like.
Yeah, but the fucking hell, I can imagine if you, because that's like what you're describing to me is like the whole reason why I wanted to start working. Like that was the one commitment that I really made to myself when I was a kid. Honest to God, if I didn't know any better, I could have sworn that my dad planned out that entire thing because I got a summer internship at working for him in his factory, right?
Yep.
And the only thing I was 12, 13, something like that. The only thing I was allowed to do was to stand at a desk or like basically a table and draw out plastic and cut it with a knife for 8 hours every day of summer.
Wow.
Yeah.
Your father is
cool. Yes, yeah. I'm not gonna go down that route, but yes, that was pretty much the whole job, right?
Yep.
And to this day, I can still remember how bored I was and how much I realized that I have to do more with my life than this. I have to do something that makes me feel, because I usually do this thing, and I don't know if you can relate, but I measure how fun I have at work or how engaged I am in the work that I do by how many times I look at the clock in a day. If I check the clock more than 5 times in a day,
That's brilliant.
that means that the time is not flowing enough. I'm not stimulated, because if I can wait and shake, oh, is it time to go home? Is it time to go home? Is it time to go home?
Yep.
Then I shouldn't be here. So trust me when I say this. I truly understand that sensation of this is like it's damaging my emotional state. But so you went to Ireland. Who did you work for then? Like, what did you do then?
IBM.
IBM.
So
Oh, big name.
it's still. I mean, it's not like I chose them. It's just like they are the only one who. Has
Yeah.
jobs.
Okay. Yeah, dude. Do you know what the rule is when you do make a really cool move in pool? If you like shoot it off the wall and it hits all the balls, you just pretend like that was what you were intending to do.
Okay.
So yep,
So
they hired me, IBM.
Did,
Yeah.
did I just say something stupid?
No. Oh, dude. Okay, so IBM, was that web development or did
No,
you?
it's since I had a background in C at the time, so
Yes.
they want DB2 like what they call kernel developer, but it's like basically someone who develops DB2.
Yeah.
DB2 is written in C, a little bit of C++, but yeah. So my background, at least as a graduate, I market myself as a graduate. So
Yeah. And
It's kind of
to anyone who might be listening in on this conversation, this is the shit I've been telling you. The first job is the thing that might set the whole fucking future for you. Oh, you learned a little bit of C one time, and now it's like from that point on, that's what you're doing.
yeah. Yes. So I still at that time I still didn't really don't have the passion. I know I can do this.
Yeah.
I
So
think
you have
I'm
the confidence, but not the passion.
Yeah, I think I'm at least an average developer at that time.
Yes.
I don't spend any time working on software stuff after work.
Yeah, it's just a job.
It's just a job,
Yep.
basically. And I enjoyed my time in Ireland. I drank a lot.
Yes, stereotypes. You know they're all
It was
true,
not
right? You know
stereotype.
they're all true, right?
It's
Stereotypes.
all true. It's all
Yeah,
true.
they're all true. All of them.
It's all true.
I've seen you do math. I know that you're very good at math.
But this is really a good stereotype.
Yes.
It's true. So
Yes.
yeah, I had some nice time there.
Yeah.
But then the reason why we moved back to Sweden is because so we my wife at that time was my girlfriend. She worked in SKF in Gothenburg.
Mhm.
They have this international program where she has to work here for 2 years and 2 years in China.
Yeah.
And our plan was that I went to Ireland for 2 years and then we all move our asses to China, right?
Okay.
And unfortunately at that time the price of the property just skyrocketed.
In China.
Yeah. I was like, what the, like I went there and I look at the apartment. It was like, it's like you live like ants, like in this super high, I don't know, 30 stories building, live like ants, right?
Yeah.
And then I went to Stockholm to visit one of my friends. I was like, wow, same amount of money. You live like a proper guy.
All right, so same amount of money, still super high price, but you get more space.
More space and all the environment, like all these things. I was like, why can't we just move to Sweden? So we talked about it, and then the conclusion is that maybe I should find a job here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's why I moved here after 3 years. Yeah.
So 3 years in Ireland, and then you moved here again.
Yeah.
And this is where, where you started your last job, or
No, it was in Stockholm.
Stockholm as well.
Klarna.
Yeah, Klarna. Yeah, exactly. I remember
Yeah.
because we were talking about that when I started working here, because I was interviewing with them and stuff like that, and they mentioned that you used to work for Klarna.
Yes.
And you were one of the first 30, right? Or first 50?
Engineers, yes.
Yes.
But they use a very obscure language called Erlang.
Erlang? No.
Yes, Erlang.
Obscure language, my friend.
Which I like because I don't, like if it's like
You're into the
mainstream
weird stuff.
weird stuff. No, it's not because I like weird stuff. It's like if it's weird stuff, then most people don't have experience.
Yes. Oh, that's really good. There's no competition.
No competition. It's like everybody has the same level in ground.
Yeah.
Just compete with the raw stupidity.
Yes, this is true. I've never thought about that. I picked the wrong fucking language, dude. I was so convinced that if I master JavaScript, I will be one of those guys who doesn't complain about it. That was my goal. And I have so many competitors. Like everybody knows JavaScript. And luckily we all suck at it as well. So I mean, it doesn't.
You are one of the greatest, right?
No, I like to think that I suck just as hard as the next guy. I just pick. You kind of just commit stuff and hope that it works. That's what it is. And if you ever try to like you have to refactor a lot of stuff, like a big change or something, you just pray. You pray to like you slaughter a goat and pray to the programming gods that they will not break production for you.
Okay, so you have to sacrifice.
Yes, you have to sacrifice. It's the same with the demo gods. Technical demos. You always have to pray really hard to make sure that everything goes right, so you don't have to embarrass the whole company in front of like investors and stuff like that. And it's the same thing with the JavaScript gods. If you refactor a big JavaScript project, shit can hit the fan quickly.
Yes.
But
I can imagine.
So Erlang, great language. Elixir is built on top of the underlying Beam, I think it's called.
Yep.
And so far, I mean, the language is absolutely. I mean, I would never kind of like the syntax, but I feel the same way about Objective-C. I don't really like the syntax, but at the same time, you have to remember that these two languages were developed by like a single company for like their products, right? It wasn't designed necessarily to be like a standard, widely adopted thing.
Yep.
But I know that Klarna since then they are using Spring now, and they're using JavaScript and so forth. So they have like moved from
They
it.
moved
But
away, yes.
yeah, but you were there working for them for how many years?
3 years, more than
3 years.
Yep.
Yeah. But you actually got some stock options and stuff as well.
Yep.
And then you moved here to Gothenburg. What made you want to change from Klarna? Because that's like, I don't know how many. Like I made one video or something like that about when I was interviewing for them. And I mean, I got the job, but I wanted to come here instead because
Yep.
I mean it's in Gothenburg and I live in Gothenburg and
Yep.
it's a nice company, right?
Yep.
But everybody wants to know how they should get through the Klarna interviewing process. All of them. So why did you decide to leave?
Because family reasons.
Family
'Cause
reasons.
My wife works in Gothenburg.
Oh, so so she didn't move with you to Stockholm.
The thing is that when I got a job in Stockholm, it wasn't clear if she could get a job here. So But then when I
Wh-
got a
wh-
job,
when, what, where was she? She was
she
working.
was in China at the time.
At time.
But then she got a because she works for SKF all the time.
Mhm.
So she got internal transfer to Gothenburg.
Ah, okay.
And I was then we were in a very awkward situation
Because she went to because she might have to quit her job, or you have to quit your job. Yeah.
and in Sweden there's this very strange regulation which says that you can't change the job the first 2 years when you get the work permit. Otherwise, you have to reapply and stuff.
Ah,
But
for
after-
immigrants.
For
foreign
whoever
workers.
wants to work here.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
Foreign
and
workers.
and then the second 2 years is okay, and then after 4 years you get permanent residence. Then you can do whatever you want. Basically.
Ah.
So-
Okay.
So, that's why I stayed 2 years first, and then I said I want to leave, and then Klana was kind of like very nice, so they said, what about we try to find a job for your wife? Use our HR, right?
Yeah.
And then they did a bunch of stuff, so that's why then they.
They had a really nice HR department. Like when
Yeah.
I talked to them, like they seem to be very like focused on humans. And like they told me the first thing was like, oh, we already have a relocation plan, and like we have apartments and like stuff like that. So they really go for the international hires.
Yes. But that's why I stayed another 1 year.
Okay, at Klarna.
Yeah.
And
then
during that time, they were looking for a job for your wife, or
yeah, they were looking for, and also they paid for the apartment and the train tickets going back and forth. Because I said it doesn't even make economic sense, right? Because like a train ticket is so super expensive.
Yeah.
Especially on Friday and Monday.
yeah, exactly, exactly.
So basically.
So you were commuting to Gothenburg
every week.
every week,
So but then.
and that's like a trip of. Sorry, it's a trip of. Is it like 6 hours?
No, it's actually 2.
Two.
That's
Okay, so you were on the nice train then, because I remember.
I mean, it's like 2 days.
Yeah.
I don't want to spend 1 day in.
All right, so you had the nice train. So I'm so sorry that I can't afford the luxury suite on the bullet train. I'm sorry, it's not a bullet train, but it's a very fast train, the X2000 or whatever it's called.
Yep.
We working regular normal class people, we have to just
Oh,
take a car
You're a
or a
rich
normal train, and then it takes 8 hours or 6 hours or something like that.
Yeah. You're a rich dude. Come on.
Oh no, I am just no. I'm sorry. I'm just a programmer and a humble programmer. I can't afford that sort of cost.
Okay, so is this a competition of humbleness now?
Yes, it is. It is a competition of humbleness. I'm trying to get you to understand how great you are, and you won't let me. So after you stayed another year, and then you started working here in Gothenburg because they couldn't find a job, or like
Yeah, because
it was tough.
she worked in a manufacturing company, right?
Yes.
And there's not many.
SKF is it's a very big company.
Yeah. So they don't have any manufacturing companies in Stockholm.
No.
Only one, like
No.
Scandia.
There's
like
a
outside.
very loving saying where you may know this, that Gothenburg and Stockholm, they kind of rival each other. Like in Stockholm they say, oh, we're the office, and manufacturing is Gothenburg.
Yeah.
That's about it.
Yes.
Yes, so working class stiffs down here in Gothenburg, and all the posh people with all their fancy watches and headsets and stuff like that up in Stockholm.
Yes.
Yes, that's how people like to think about it.
Stereotypes.
Yes, and they're all true.
We have fancy people like you.
Yeah, exactly. No. You look at me. I'm wearing like a worn down Kopparberg's. This is like as blue collar as it fucking gets, dude. I'm going. There's nothing fancy about
Okay,
me.
if you keep saying this, I'm gonna bring up the Japanese food.
All right. Okay, sure. Okay, we'll just let's agree that we're both very humble people. And we're good-looking humble people. Let's end on that.
Yeah.
So then you find it's hard to get a job, and you finally realize that you want to go to Gothenburg, and this is where you start working in this consultancy that you had before this job.
It's not a consultancy. It was like a product company.
A product company.
Yeah,
Okay.
That specialized in analyzing contracts to find the clauses in law.
Yeah.
For example, like what is the
To exploit.
to help, like imagine you are extremely big company which has hundreds and thousands of contracts.
Yes.
Which one expire soon? Like nobody knows.
Yes.
Like which one has the
There's so
clauses-
much data that you have to figure out. You have to automate the
Yeah.
process of finding flaws or finding expiration
Yeah.
dates.
What's affected by Brexit?
Yeah.
What do you want? What happens if you want to do a merger and?
That
split?
sounds like a pretty cool project.
Yeah, it's. I mean, they are the first company that does this, so they sold products to Google, like a search engine product to Google.
Yeah.
Imagine that.
Imagine
Microsoft,
that.
Salesforce.
Well,
Adobe.
I keep on saying to people like Google has a very nice product portfolio and so forth, but Google is not where Google is just because they're just better at than everybody else at
Yeah.
programming. They have a search engine that controls the world.
Yeah.
So that's a pretty good revenue stream, and then you can buy services from companies that also have talented developers.
Yes.
And so you were doing like because you started doing your web development work at Klarna with Erlang, or
Yes.
Yes.
It's not web development. It's like there's no web. It's just API.
okay, so but or like okay, let's say traditional web application type of work. It's
Yeah,
a
backends.
network-based application of
Yeah.
some sort. Okay, you're not a front-end developer. I know that you have committed code to the front-end project, and that's that's what it is. I'm not saying that you're a full-stack developer. I'm just saying that you had done some web work, right? So you went from basically system levels development, or mostly working in C, and then you worked, and then you went to Erlang, and now in this company, what are they? What
So
are
I
they?
went there because they use Scala.
They use Scala.
Yeah.
So you started working at that company because of Scala?
Yes.
Oh.
Because I want to.
Big feather in the hat for a company, because this is the thing, right? Usually, as someone like yourself, as you were even saying that you're not that passionate, and then you're actually going to a specific company because of a specific language.
Yeah. So okay, so we're talking about passion. In Klarna, it was like the first time I feel that wow, I'm in the midst of this hooplas, right? Like there's a lot of stuff going on. There's like a lot of cool people.
Yeah.
Like for example, like when it comes to Erlang, there's like a lot of people who actually design the language and design the libraries, who made the unit testing framework and
Yeah.
documentation framework. Those
So
people,
they recruited them from Ericsson
they were there in the very beginning actually. So
Yeah.
some of them even wrote the first version.
because
as well.
some people may not know that Ericsson actually developed Erlang.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
A lot of them worked for Ericsson before.
Yeah.
So I think I got some kind of interest from like at that time, but still not passionate.
Yeah.
But I kind of like feel that I'm more interested in this because like
It's growing your interest.
Yeah, like you're exposed to C, exposed to some kind of a functional language, Erlang,
Yep.
and exposed to some weird database, React, like versus DB2. They're all different, totally different, like on the very opposite spectrum of the same technology.
Yep.
And then you sort of started to kind of try to get exposed to this kind of trade-offs and stuff. And then that's where it sort of grows a little bit.
Yep.
But then I moved here. I was like, okay, Erlang is functional. I want to work with functional language. I don't want to work with Java. That's for sure. So
But you never work with Java, so why do
I
you?
worked in like in the last company.
Yeah.
Most of the stuff are in Java.
Yeah.
And
But they use Scala.
they use Scala for the project that I was involved in.
Ah, okay, but
And
most
in
of them.
Ericsson they use Java too.
Okay.
G2E.
Yes, the Enterprise Edition. Yes.
Yeah, EGB.
Yeah.
And then so I think I grow some kind of passion when I worked for my last company.
Yeah.
So I liked Scala at the time, and also I think the passion grows when I sort of try to work on my own projects.
Mm-hmm.
Like I was working with my.
And you didn't do that before, because
I never
no.
did my side projects.
No.
So we were trying to make a product. Like actually in the past, before I joined this company,
Yep.
during the 3 years, we worked on two products. One is some kind of a crowdsourcing T-shirt thing, which is written in JavaScript, like a Min. What do you call it? Like I can't remember the terminology. Like a Min stack, Mongo,
Mean stack.
Angular.
Yeah.
Node or
MongoDB, what is it? Express,
Yes.
and Angular and Node.
Yes.
I think.
Yeah. So we did everything in JavaScript. That was not very successful. And the second one, I'm not sure whether I can tell, but
It wasn't. It was not because of JavaScript, right? It was.
it was partly because
It was part okay. So it's the failure of that project was partly to blame on JavaScript. it's a classic story. Everybody has that story. Everybody knows.
Yep.
Their startup would have gone so much better if they didn't have JavaScript.
No,
We know
I'm just
this.
kidding. JavaScript is beautiful.
Oh yes, it's absolutely
As
beautiful.
beautiful as you.
Wow, I don't know how. I feel like you have grossly misrepresented JavaScript. I feel like JavaScript deserves more than that.
No. I think I sort of overrepresented the JavaScript.
Oh my! I do hope that the people at TC39 isn't listening to the. They do great work.
Yeah, but the second one was in Scala, so
Yes.
that's why I sort of dig a little bit more in Scala.
But what was it about Scala? It was because it was a functional language that made you interested? Because, I mean, there are other languages like Haskell and
Yeah.
so forth.
So first of all, it has an actor system,
Yes.
which is exciting. I mean, pretty much it's inspired by Erlang. So I feel that I know it to some extent, even though I don't know the whole thing.
No, but you know the concept.
I know the concept.
Yeah, and that's half the battle, just understanding how something works. Because if you know it in one language, you can transfer some of that knowledge and say, oh, okay, it's sort of the same thing, but it works a little bit differently.
Yeah. And Scala type system and stuff, which is very different compared to Erlang. But in Chalmers, we actually learned Haskell.
Mhm.
So it was really
Chalmers, the university here in Gothenburg, is super big on Haskell. Like there has tons of Marcus, our founder, is one of the most die-hard functional programmers I know, and he did the same thing.
Exactly. So it doesn't feel strange, the types and stuff. So it feels like a good thing.
Yeah.
And I mean, there's not much other functional language jobs available in
No.
Gothenburg. So
I would say just universally. I actually did for funsies the other month or something like that. I just searched for Haskell jobs Sweden. The only reference that came up was our company, and we don't even use Haskell.
yeah. So yes, but that's when I grow a little bit of a passion. I sort of try to organize the Scala meetups and stuff, and try to meet Scala people.
Yeah.
And that's yeah.
And that's where you met Marcus.
That's where I met Marcus as
Yeah.
well. And then after two of the projects failed, I was kind of like very low at that time.
Your personal projects.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was extremely low at the time. Also because the partner that I had has high expectation on him, and he didn't deliver.
Oh.
So I was kind of.
Was he a developer as well?
No.
He was a business person.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So basically, I was because I was extremely overworked. I was like.
So you were doing this on top of the normal work.
Yeah.
This was just okay. Yeah.
So I basically rarely sleep before 1 or 2 maybe.
Yeah.
So like so I was extremely overworked,
Yep.
and then you get like antagonized over anything, right?
Yes.
You
Yes.
get angry over anything. But at that time, I kind of like when all of this failed, I was like, what am I supposed to do with my life, right? Because I feel that I don't get motivated when I go to work. So that's why one of the reasons why I thought, okay, joining this company, because at that time this company doesn't really have. I mean, I'm probably one of the first developers here.
Yep. I think you're number 3 or 2 or 3. No, you're not number 2. You're number 3 or 4 or something like that.
Yeah, but at that time a lot of people left, so like
Your
Sebastian-
old job or this?
No, Sebastian. For example, Sebastian wasn't here. So when I was in the office, it was like
Yeah, because this was
5
before we
people.
moved here. This was when we had the tiny office.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was like 5 people or something.
Yeah.
So, and then I kind of want to. So my thinking at that time is that okay, I want to go to these kind of companies
Yeah, a smaller company.
where I can get motivated, and also I want to, have skin in the game. Basically, that's what I wanted. So I invested as well,
Yep.
and I did a bunch of stuff that make me feel that I want to get my passion to a level.
Yes.
Back.
You want to commit to something and
I want to
feel.
commit to
Yeah.
something.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's I think that was interesting because at that time right now it feels like a little bit less risk. But at
Mhm.
that time it was very unclear if this company.
For this company, oh yes, absolutely. I mean, shit, dude. If it's 5 people working in a company, this was before all of the deals that we've signed and all this stuff. There was nothing like that. You were basically in the we're gonna. It was a beta stage. You were trying to figure out how we're gonna make money off of this thing because
there's no clear.
That's like jumping off a cliff. Yeah, that's how it is.
Yeah, exactly. So, but it was partly because I was kind of partly because Marcus, I knew he's a very good developer. That's.
No, I don't think anybody at this company is going to question that he's an amazing developer.
Yeah.
I think he's like, what is he? Like top 6 or something like that in the Scala community.
Top 3.
Yeah, top 3. he is a little bit of a name in the Scala community.
Yeah. So number 1 is because of him, and number 2 is because I was kind of desperate. I was kind of low at that time.
Yeah.
So
you needed to change.
Yeah. Anyways, at the same time, I also developed a strong interest in Bitcoin, right?
In
Bitcoin. In the past 3 years, it was kind of. I kind of feel rejuvenated because I'm fucking old, right? but it feels like
you're not old, dude. You're in your 30s.
But the thing is that in the past 3 years, working on this,
you have more than half your life left. Dude. Just relax. Just relax.
But working in this company feels very, very rewarding.
Yes.
It turns out better than I expected, and also I kind of feel that I developed some passion on my side as well.
Yeah.
So it feels like
it flows over.
Yeah, it feels very. I feel my passion is back.
Yeah.
So my passion is at the peak right now.
Yeah. Which is great.